About 100 miles from the ocean, a young woman is about to go swimming in the river. The water is calm and there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, except for the bull sharks, of course. Those are very scary. Somewhere down that river, we find Kate, the local ranger. She is investigating reports on a dramatic drop in water level. Her colleague Mark dives in to investigate while they keep communicating on the radio. Then he stops responding.
Mark!
She gets worried and calls his name repeatedly, but it was just a prank. He jumps out of the water shouting that he saw a mega gator and laughing at Kate's reaction. Well, with friends like this, who needs a gator? Not far from there, however, something way worse than a shark attack is about to happen. A corporate team bonding trip. These poor souls are a group of employees at Horizon Tech Industries, and this is their first annual wilderness retreat.
All right, let's go, people.
The only one who is remotely excited about it is the CEO and founder, Tanner Brooks. He's the kind of person who says that there is no I in team. Stella, the publicist, is doing her best to see the non-existent bright side. She tries to cheer up her colleague, Pullman, while Tanner goes on to present the variety of ordeals in store for them. Capture the flag, archery contest, paintball, and a 2-mile river race. Pullman gets Stella to admit the archery was her idea, since she's a champion in the sport. Meanwhile, Mark is probably regretting that prank from before. This time, he really finds something terrifying and screams in horror. Also, it seems like he's got some company down there. As the bull sharks are coming for him, he rushes to the surface and Kate tries to help, but it's too late, and he's already bitten. Now Kate is by herself with at least 3 shark fins circling the boat. Quickly pulling up on the anchor, she steers the boat to the closest shore and runs to safety. Then she sits on the grass, sobbing in shock. People are starting to organize the activities at the wilderness retreat. Tanner's personal assistant, Jolene, is going through her notes when Ted, one of the software guys, attempts to establish some kind of conversation with her. He fails miserably, and his self-appointed wingman, Jorge, is of no help. He tells him to forget about Jolene. At the riverbank, we meet Carl, a short-fused local man with survivalist skills. He's busy fishing when 2 guys show up on a small boat, asking if this is really a secret spot for salmon. Pointing at the private property sign, he tells them to get lost. They laugh at him and say they're not going anywhere.
Where'd a redneck like you learn such good diction?
Carl's shotgun begs to differ, and they change their tune as soon as they see it. Once the newbies are gone, Carl can get back to some serious fishing. But when he sees an arm caught up in his net, he knows he'll need that shotgun again. He fires at the approaching fin a couple of times until he hits the target. Then he rushes out of the water and gets to the shore a split second before the shark jumps. Pullman and Stella are taking a break from the paintball madness, and she takes the opportunity to ask him his job is. He confesses that he has never actually worked at all. Whenever Tanner demands a prototype, he just puts together a bunch of components. Then he gives it to Tanner, saying that it works beautifully. But as he's just heard, it's already in production stage in another company. Stella is surprised that he hasn't been caught yet. And this is where we see Pullman's genius shine through that grumpy shell. If Tanner starts asking around about a new product, the other companies will think he has a spy there. So he can't do that and ends up never the wiser. Stella doesn't even bother hiding that she's impressed.
I think you might be my hero.
Carl has barely recovered from the previous scare when Kate sneaks up on him, almost giving him a heart attack. They briefly exchange their recent shark trauma and Carl invites her in. Now it's Stella's turn to share a secret, and she says Tanner has just fired over 70 people. The only employees who will get to keep their jobs are the ones right there at the retreat. Pullman is beside himself to hear this, but she begs him not to tell anyone. She only knows about that because she is the publicist, and the ugly press release that's surely coming will be her task. Back at Carl's, Kate is telling him about this weird dam upriver where Mark was attacked. She tries to ask for backup, but Carl doesn't have a phone and she gets no response on the radio. That's because Ranger Station 12 is too busy getting eaten. So Kate decides they need to clear people off the river. Not exactly a people person. Carl's not too happy to be included, but he seems to have forgotten about an impressive list of past occasions where Kate was the only thing between his and jail. A list she seems to remember with supernatural accuracy. He makes the wise decision to join her then.
Now you're talking my language.
While they start brainstorming a plan, 3 Horizon employees are enjoying the sunny afternoon right in the middle of the river. One of them wonders if Tanner will notice their absence, to which someone replies that he doesn't even know their names. But of course, these employment-related details suddenly lose their importance as soon as the sharks get there. In a few seconds, the trio is gone, and it turns out that they were right. Tanner doesn't notice anything. He's too worried about winning the game that was supposed to be a team-building activity. By now, Kate has already worked out much of what happened in the river. The dam was formed with all the garbage sucked sucked into the river by the same storm that displaced the bull sharks, trapping them in a short patch of inland stream. So her plan is to blow up the dam, opening a passage back to the ocean. But before they get started, there's a couple of tourists who need their attention right now. They are ziplining over the river, and the girl falls in the water when she's halfway through. Which attracts some unwanted shark attention. Kate and Carl are trying to help, but they're too far. Her boyfriend gets up on the line and risks his life to save her. That's so romantic that they'll remember this moment for the rest of their lives, which means about 10 seconds. Back at the wilderness retreat, lunch is a bunch of tiny portions of cheap stuff wrapped in tinfoil, which comes as no surprise. Tanner instructs everyone to save some for the person behind them, but the words coming out of his mouth do not match what his hands are doing. Stella is talking to another colleague, Kenny. Unlike the vast majority at Horizon Tech, Kenny is all about the muscles. He spots Jolene at another table and decides to go over there, while poor Ted is listening. Kenny says he's thinking of trying his hand at Alaskan king crab fishing, famously one of the most dangerous activities on the planet. Just for fun. Jolene opens up a big smile to say he's a brave man. Now, Ted is even more miserable. And so are Bert and Nate, those two that Carl had the displeasure to meet before. They're still trying to get some salmon, but no luck.
Big fish.
Bert is disappointed at the tiny fish he's caught, and Nate tells him to watch and learn. And then the boat starts to shake violently with something intensely bumping on it from below. When it stops for a moment, Nate says something about his own professionalism handling the situation, and then his own hook comes right back, fishing him into the water. Bert is watching and learning in horror, but not for too long. Now the teams are moving on to the next activity at the retreat. It's an archery contest, and all jaws drop when Stella hits the bullseye with zero effort. Even Tanner can't help but be impressed, letting her know that with some unsolicited touching. Annoyed to see that, Pullman mumbles something loud enough for him to notice. When he leaves, Stella scolds Pullman for his lack of discretion. If Tanner finds out that this grudge is about the layoffs, he'll know immediately that Stella couldn't keep her mouth shut. Pullman apologizes, and she tells him to quit pretending that he's so sorry for those coworkers he didn't even know that well. A different kind of crisis is going down on Kate's boat. Carl has distracted the sharks with a bucket of chum to get closer to the dam, and now they are carefully placing the dynamite to blow it up.
Let me get up
I can handle it!
But the sharks make it back too fast. Kate gets startled and drops the dynamite inside the boat. They jump out of it before it explodes, but at least the dam is gone and their job is done. We can't say the same about the wilderness retreat, as the grand finale is yet to happen. They're about to start the river race. Jolene asks him if they're going to wait for the others, but everyone knows the answer to that already. Tanner says they all know where the bus is picking them up, so no need to worry about people who aren't there. However weird that is, as there aren't enough of them to fill 3 rafts, they decide to start out with 2. A few miles upriver, the waters are calm again, but Kate is worried. The sharks are not doing what she expected. In fact, they're actually swimming in the opposite direction to gather all the stuff scattered by the blast. Now she's starting to understand what's going on. These bull sharks may have gotten there by accident, but they're not really trapped. They're actually rejoicing with all these stupid humans basically jumping into their mouths. There's no reason to leave at all.
They're building another one.
That's why they're now rebuilding the dam with the bodies so skillfully collected in the past few days. That brings Kate to the conclusion that there must be another dam at the next choke point. And guess who is very close to that spot right now? Yep, Tanner and his megaphone. The river race is on. Poor Pullman ended up on the same boat as Kenny, Stella, and his beloved boss. Tanner is shouting into their ears that they can't let the losers beat them. That would be the other boat, where Ted and Jorge are doing their best to function without a headset and a gamer chair. While both teams try not to embarrass themselves too much, Kate is breaking into Mark's shed and grabbing some deer meat to use as bait. She wants to explode the second dam the same way they did the first one, but Carl has run out of dynamite. She gets mildly disappointed that his stash was not as big as she used to fear. But a resourceful woman like Kate won't let this minor setback get in the way, so she grabs some of Mark's scuba tanks and moves on. At the river race, Tanner finally gets to Pullman's breaking point, and he takes the megaphone in anger. Tanner complains that it's an expensive item, and that's when Pullman is unable to control himself any longer.
Yeah, well, you should be able to afford it now.
He says Tanner should be able to afford another one now that the payroll is lighter by 70 employees. Stella seems to be trying to disappear, while Kenny can't hide his joy. He's among the chosen one. Taken by surprise, Tanner starts to vomit the usual stuff about taking a step back in order to move forward, breaking some eggs to make an omelet, and all that. That would be too much for anyone. Pullman starts to get a few things out of his chest, like how spoiled Tanner is and how overrated his ideas are. As they have stopped paddling to focus on the drama, the other team is far ahead of them and already celebrating their victory. These celebrations celebrations are suddenly cut short by very wide jaws, and it looks like the same thing is about to happen with the first boat. While Pullman is declaring that he quits and Tanner is trying to come up with a clever comeback to that, the sharks are waltzing towards them because Stella spots them early. This team is a bit more prepared and they fight off the sharks using the paddles. Back at Mark's, Kate and Carl are taking his boat. The keys are not on it, but that's not a problem for Carl and his particular skills. They set out right away, soon getting close to the Horizon team that lost their boat earlier. Jorge and Tad have survived the attack, but when they can't find Jolene, Tad gets desperate and dives in after her. She's underwater and seems unconscious. Both Tad and a bull shark reach for Jolene at the same time, but now Kate is close enough and hits the shark. Now Tad, Jolene, and Jorge are safe on the shore, although Tad's leg is badly hurt. Jorge starts to freak out about his coworkers who never resurfaced, but Carl tells him to snap out of it because they still have a lot to do. She tells them to walk along the river until the next ranger station and have them send everyone.
We can't. There's too many people waiting down the boat. We'll be swamped.
Kate and Carl go the opposite direction to rescue the other Horizon raft. And they sure could use some help right now. As they try to turn the boat and paddle to the shore, it becomes obvious that something is wrong, because they're unable to change the direction. That's because they're being pulled by one of the sharks. But then Tanner announces that he knows exactly what to do. Everyone looks surprised at the possibility of him being useful, but it's not the case. He's talking about what to do after someone else saves his butt today. Stuff like the press release about the tragedy and how to spin it in his favor. He also sounds super happy to remember that the checks haven't gone out yet, so no need to pay the deceased. Pullman points out that not even the sharks are this evil. At least they don't seem to turn on each other like that. Then Tanner reminds the three of them that they should protect him at all costs, or else those checks won't get signed for them either. And this is the last straw for Stella. She says she also quits.
I quit.
Tanner doesn't take it too well and even stands up to yell at her, but apparently not even the sharks can stand this guy anymore. So one of them decides to end that speech right there. The others don't have time to celebrate because they're now approaching the dam. Unable to believe their eyes, Stella shoots an arrow into a tree and they try to pull the line to make the boat move. But the sharks go, "Not today, humans." Now Ted's leg is getting worse and he tells Jorge and Jolene to go on without him, but they refuse to go. They finally reach the ranger station, but it's on the other side and they must walk on a narrow log across the river. When they're right in the middle, out comes a shark, and there goes Jorge. Ted urges Jolene to keep moving, but he's the next one to fall off the log. Jolene still tries to return the favor and save Ted, but now it's her turn to be shark lunch. Pullman is still trying to make the most of Stella's talent. He attaches paintball cartridges to the tip of the arrows, making them explode once they hit the target. So Stella takes her aim and tries to hit as many sharks as she can. But then Kenny also tries to use an arrow as a weapon and accidentally makes a hole in the boat. Now their only option is to swim as fast as humanly possible. Kenny goes first and is followed by Stella. They only realize that Pullman got stuck when they've reached the shore. Kenny's too afraid to get back in the water, so he stays there while Stella tries to save Pullman. But when he sees that the sharks are coming for his friends, Kenny makes an effort and truly finds the courage he has always faked. Sadly, it was not the right occasion to do that. Poor Kenny doesn't last much. When Pullman finds an arrow, he cuts the rope around his foot with it. Now unstuck, he uses the same arrow to help Stella escape one of the sharks. Kate and Carl are right above them now, and they hop onto their boat. Pullman loses his senses for a moment, but soon he's well enough to joke about Stella giving him mouth to mouth. Now, Kate's plan consists in putting the tanks on the shark dam and then shooting with a rifle to cause an explosion. They are all ready to do that, but Carl won't be helping anymore. One of the sharks gets to him first. Although Kate is deeply distressed, they need to keep moving.
Said we had to blow up the dam. Let's blow up the dam.
Pullman helps her out with the scuba tanks and Stella shoots an explosive arrow into them. Finally, the dam is destroyed. With a sad look on her face, Kate retrieves Carl's hat from the water. And this is the end. This was a recap of Damn Sharks, released by Sci-Fi in 2016 and starring Jessica Blackmore. What's your take on all this shark madness? If you could change the movie to save one more character, who would you save? Let us know in the comments below with #CinemaRecap. Until next time.